Yeah, but I haven't seen one big enough to go until Johnny Cash's hair is too long.
Over the years, twins have always attracted a great deal of interest, from the identical or not so identical pairs you may have known growing up, to those who have gone on to shine together as stars in Hollywood. However, the Hager twins made a mark in the music industry before something tragic happened to them. What happened to the Hagers, and how did it affect their music careers? Join us today as we delve into the tragic tale behind the famous industry twins. What really happened to the Hager twins? There are quite a few Hollywood twin stars, and the Hager twins were just fortunate to be among them. Shining side by side in a highly competitive industry like Hollywood must have been challenging. However, these two handsome young men consistently found ways to navigate the industry for a considerable period. Now, what happened after one of them slowly dropped out of the spotlight, from the lights and cameras, and disappeared from the reach of the human eye completely? Keep your eyes glued as we unravel the mystery behind how these young twin stars ended up. John and Jim Hager captivated fans for a long time. From struggling to see their favorite twins on set to their complete disappearance from the series, the two were always known to work together side by side as one. They were pleasant to watch, and their funny nature soon attracted a large fan base. The Hager twins were quite a handful of talents. They were funny, sweet, handsome, and full of life, and they let the world know that it was possible to give room for another person to shine. They were never caught arguing with each other, nor was it written in records that they were not on speaking terms because one was jealous of the other. Right from their childhood, they had always shone as stars together. Suddenly, everything started falling apart after the Hager twins left the set of the popular series Hee Haw. In the mid-1970s, it was reported that John Hager soon started appearing in some of the gossip magazines of that year. His appearances in the magazines were a result of the relationship he had with the popular actress Karen Valentine. This actress starred in Room 222 and was a regular on a particular game show. If you've ever wondered if the twins got married or were involved in any love interests or relationship scandals, here is your answer. When John got into a relationship at first, his relationship might have posed a great threat to the relationship he had with his brother. One might wonder if they weren't allowed to live their individual separate lives. Well, of course they were. They were obviously two different people with different hobbies and interests. Unfortunately for John Hager, his romantic spark was quenched after they both fell apart and headed their separate ways. They were both engaged, but their marriage never took place. Rumors have it that their union wasn't blessed by Valentine's Hollywood Squares co-star Paul Lynde, who felt that no one was ever good enough for her. Way before the relationship news surrounding John Hager, concerned fans had already jumped to conclusions that the twins had to be gay. Despite John's relationship being in the press, rumors still emerged that one of them was gay and the other bisexual. Fans must have attributed bisexuality to John Hager because of his failed relationship. However, all those rumors and false assumptions were proven wrong. In 1974, Jim Hager had gone ahead of his brother to settle down when he married a woman named Betty. This news came as a shock to several fans after his marriage was published in several newspaper articles. Then later, his brother John Hager went on to marry a woman named Catherine. Both of them soon became fathers. Being engulfed in their separate lives as fathers and husbands must have affected a whole lot of things because they both tried to continue singing and performing as comedians together, all to no avail. In 1979, when Kidvid star Soupy Sales briefly came back to TV, the Hager brothers appeared on his show. They sang an ode to pizza. Unfortunately for the brothers, the tune did not make it to the top 10 of any chart and was described on YouTube as the worst song ever. Nonetheless, that didn't stop them because in 1984, after the Soviets boycotted the Olympic Games in Los Angeles, the Hager twins debuted their Olympic song, written by Bill Baker. Its lyrics go thus: "I don't care if the Russians stay home this summer. I don't care if they never go to LA. It's no fun behind the Iron Curtain. Why else would so many comrades stay away?" That also didn't become a hit song. The Hager twins also continued comedy, and they starred on various The Nashville Network, TNN, programs of the 80s and 90s, like Florence Henderson's cooking show Country Kitchen. After they co-hosted the TNN show Country Kitchen with Florence Henderson, a proposed comedy show never got off the ground. They filmed their first music video for the single "I'm Wishin' I Could Go Fishin' Forever" in 1990. After several failed attempts, the Hager twins finally stepped away from the cameras and spotlights to live their private lives, although they continued to perform. They both chose to settle down in Nashville and were far away from the grasp of fans until Jim Hager suddenly appeared in the newspaper on May 2008. What might have happened to him and why was he trending must have been the questions on the minds of many devoted fans. Sadly, the news wasn't a delightful one. Jim Hager had collapsed in the parking lot while he was walking out of his favorite coffee shop. Although he was rushed to the hospital, it was too late. He lost his life due to a heart attack. Jim was a delightful, funny, loyal friend, Hee Haw castmate Lulu Roman told the Associated Press. He will be missed greatly as one of my true friends. He and John were a dynamic and extremely talented duo. I pray for his family. They still maintained that youthful look and carried on like young people, Lavulo said on Friday. It is a big loss and a sudden one, he said. Jim Hager was survived by his mother, 2 daughters, and 3 granddaughters. The news must have been devastating to the members of his family, most especially to his brother John Hager, seeing that he refused to say anything about his brother's demise. Imagine living and breathing alone without the one you have known your entire life, the one who was with you through struggles and hardships, and in the times of fame and joy. Jim Hager's demise must have been a tough one for John, seeing that on January 9, 2009, he decided to join his brother after he passed away in his sleep. According to Sam Lavulo, who produced Hee Haw and was a friend of Hager's, it was reported that John Hager was found lifeless in his apartment in Nashville on Friday morning. He was in his bed and apparently passed away in his sleep. Lavulo also said that John Hager had been in poor health and was depressed since his identical twin brother, Jim Hager, passed away in May the previous year. Before their passing, the Hager twins themselves also stated in 1998 that they had been together all their lives except for 3.5 years when John left Los Angeles and moved down to Nashville. Although Jim remained on the West Coast, he eventually followed his brother and settled down in Nashville too. One of the Hager twins' friends, Adam Dredd, said of the brothers, "They were always quick with a joke and never met a stranger." Outgoing and accessible, Jim and John Hager were part of what makes Nashville known as America's friendliest city. The brothers will be dearly missed by all. Aside from them starring in Hee Haw, you probably do not know much about the Hager twins, their background, or how they rose to fame. Stay tuned as we dive into that. Who were the Hager twins? The Hager twins, John and Jim, were born on the 30th of August, 1941, in Chicago, Illinois. As expected, they were obviously not brought into the world together at the same time. One came before the other, and that brother was John. John was the eldest, born 20 minutes before Jim. One surprising fact about the Hager brothers was that it wasn't stated whether they were orphans or if their mother put them out for adoption. The twins were adopted by Jack and Frances Hager, a Methodist minister and a school teacher, and that was how they got their name Hager Twins. If their birth mother and father, inclusive, knew what they were throwing away, that is, if the twins were sent out for adoption on purpose, they sure wouldn't have done that. Thanks to Jack and Frances Hager, the Hager twins grew up absolutely fine and were brought up in their father's religion. Right from childhood, the two brothers had always displayed their love for singing. The brothers first sang in the church choir. As teenagers, they sang on a Saturday morning on the WGN TV series and targeted others in their age group. "Everywhere we perform is like coming home," John Hager once said. Not only did they look and sound identical, but their humor was reportedly also quick, spontaneous, and razor sharp. For example, when they reacted to their childhood, one of the brothers started answering the question, but they both finished it. "Isn't it impressive?" "Jim and I were adopted," explained John. "Our late father, Jack, was a Florida Methodist minister, and our mother, Frances, is a retired Mississippi school teacher. Dad had a church on the south side of Chicago when we were very little," Jim interjected. "It was near the stockyards." Then they both laughingly concluded in unison, "So that is where we got our first whiff of country of unbringing." Apart from their funny nature, the twins also realized early that they had a talent for singing. "Singing in the church choir helped nurture this God-given talent," Jim said. Then they both were drafted into the Army, where they served in the United States Army. In the Army, they also performed at officers and non-commissioned officers clubs in the United States and Europe. The Hager twins both went to school too. The brothers attended Maine Township High School in Park Ridge, class of 1959. Interestingly, they were both 1 year ahead of Harrison Ford and a few years ahead of Hillary Clinton. Their rise to fame. After the brothers left the military and slowly expanded their touring region, they decided to move down to California. They both performed together at Ledbetter's nightclub in Los Angeles, alongside the Carpenters, the New Christie Minstrels, John Denver, Steve Martin, and Kenny Rogers. The brothers also worked at Disneyland, the place where Buck Owens saw them perform and signed them to contracts. Buck Owens asked them to join his band and touring show that also included singer Susan Rae and Sheb Woolley. Buck Owens, who was under contract to Capitol, also helped the brothers get signed to their first record deal. "We traveled for years opening shows for Buck," John said. "We also got to open for some of the other greats like Tex Ritter, Wynn Stewart, Billy Joe Spears, and Lefty Frizzle. We learned so much from them, and we loved them all." The fact that over the years they chose to stick to performing together as a duo was awe-inspiring. It meant that they both worked together, honing their skills till they became really good. The Hager brothers also served as opening acts for Buck Owens, Tex Ritter, Wynn Stewart, Billy Joe Spears, and Lefty Frizzell. They both performed on stage and played clubs throughout the Midwest. At first, they were both originally referred to as the Hagers before they later took on the name the Hager Twins. Soon enough, fans concluded that no one could ever match the harmony of the Hager Twins. As they were both identical, it became difficult for fans to tell them apart. Their voices sounded alike, and when they performed, it looked and felt like one person was performing. The two brothers did produce truly remarkable music. The surprising thing about them, too, was that they were both really good players. They both played the guitar and drums. However, Jim Hager later became the primary guitarist. They were both young, handsome, and super talented. As time went by, the Hager Twins soon had a top 40 hit with the song "Got to Get to Oklahoma, 'Cause California's Getting to Me" in 1969. Their hit song, "Got to Get to Oklahoma," was featured on the Hagers' first album, released in 1970. The album was titled simply The Hagers. It also featured one of the duo's best remembered songs, "Loneliness Without You." Later that same year, they released "Two Hagers Are Better Than One." This LP included their cover of Silver Wings and also a couple of tunes written by the brothers. In 1971, they went ahead to release Motherhood, Apple Pie, and The Flag. All three of these albums were released on Capitol Records. However, despite their previous success, the three LPs were only modest sellers. After they released Motherhood, the twins switched to Andy Williams, who owned Barnaby Records, to release their next album, Music on the Countryside. Later, they were signed with the Elektra label. Although the Hager Twins were gaining recognition fast on the radio, they soon dived into a reality TV series. Their first attempt at doing a TV reality series became a huge success. That decision probably made you familiar with the name the Hager Twins. Just like Laugh-In, the reality TV series they starred in had two male hosts or ringleaders. Respected instrumentalist Roy Clark was one of them, while Buck Owens was the other. When Buck Owens came to television, he brought along with him his band and the Hager Twins. As earlier revealed, the Hager Twins had previously worked with Buck Owens, and they used his connection to join Hee Haw when Buck Owens and Roy Clark got signed as hosts of the show. Just like a replica of Laugh-In, Hee Haw had an expansive cast of supporting players that included Archie Campbell, Gordy Tapp, Lulu Roman, Don Herron, String Bean, and from very early in the series, the Hager Twins. According to show producer Sam Lavulo, the Hager Twins were partially hired for their handsomeness. This was meant to be a counterbalance to such female show regulars as Lisa Todd and Gunilla Hutton. According to the producer, he claimed that they were also the answer to the Hee Haw honeys. "We were always looking for the other side of the gender for good-looking hunks. They fit the bill very nicely," he said. Hee Haw always aired several new episodes every season. Soon, they later adopted a rather unique way of production. A season full of content was usually filled in 2 to 3 weeks of tough, relentless, and non-stop production every year. By doing this, they allowed their cast to continue with the program for years, since each season didn't require a major time commitment. The cast was also allowed to tour or take on other projects for the rest of the year. Aside from participating in various sketches during the show, the Hager Twins also regularly performed. They both sang songs that had a country rock vibe to them, like Lodi or When Will I Be Loved. Despite them switching to TV, they both obviously never stopped doing what they were good at, singing and performing. "People laughed at themselves," said Jim Hager in a 1988 Associated Press interview. "They liked the chemistry on the show and the fast pace." The jokes were not all platinum, Jim Hager added. The writers count on the person delivering the line to pull it off. It was cornball, no denying it. However, the Hager Twins soon started to get less screen time for their music in replacement for their comedic antics. This was probably the case because the show was intended to be somewhat comedic. It also became common for the entire cast, even though the show contained some immensely talented performers. Luckily for the Hager Twins, they were soon tagged as comedians. If one wasn't a fan from when they were musicians, you would have argued that they were comedians. The brothers were well skilled in comedy, and soon enough, people began to see them as comedians, not as musicians. By 1973, the Hager Twins became greater and got more famous when they were featured in the second ever issue of Playgirl magazine. In the magazine, the twins appeared half naked, posing side by side with a bit of their pubic hair displayed. This magazine also stirred up a lot of interest and comments, as expected. Then in 1976, the Hager Twins didn't relent, but went ahead to bid for a greater TV stardom. They appeared on the headline for their own made-for-TV movie titled Twin Detectives. Their film aired on ABC and was produced by Charles Fries Productions. It was a self-explanatory film. Its cast was Patrick O'Neill, Barbara Rhodes, Linda Day George, Michael Constantine, Randy Oakes, and Lillian Gish, who was one of the most superlative artists in the history of cinema. According to the film's review, Jim and John Hager were termed as inexperienced actors, as expected. Also, the producers of the film surrounded them with some seasoned vets. The film was supposed to inspire a series, but despite its positive reviews, the network refused to pick it up. One of these reviews was The Hollywood Reporter, which called the brothers charming in their first and only starring roles. Except for their appearance in Hee Haw, the Hager Twins didn't appear on screen again until in a 1978 episode of The Bionic Woman. Also in Sanctuary Earth, they were cast as clones sent from outer space. In this episode, they co-starred with future Oscar winner Helen Hunt. The Hager Twins appeared on Hee Haw until 1986, when they left the series as a result of a contract dispute along with other cast members of the show. The show then got wrapped in 1993. We were on Hee Haw from the very first show in 1969 until we left 19 years later in 1988, Jim Hager said. The success of Hee Haw is that the cast members loved and supported each other. Not only did we put our hearts and souls into the program, but we also learned how to laugh at ourselves, John added further. After they left the show, the Hager Twins continued touring, playing clubs, rodeos, fairs, and other venues. Alongside their performances, the Hager Twins also appeared on TV talk shows and made guest appearances on other artists' specials, including The Osmonds in 1971. In 1976, the brothers appeared on Celebrity Bowling, taking on the team of Greg Morris and Bill Dana. Then in 1978, they attempted to launch a TV talk show titled Nashville County Fair, but the show did not get picked up. After the Hee Haw Theater was opened in Branson, MO in the early 1980s, the brothers didn't appear frequently there. According to one of their one-time managers, neither ever met a stranger who thought of taking his Milwaukee Road with the tilted logo that he had recently acquired on his way to Los Angeles. The manager wore it on a July 4th outing to Cape Cod, but deep down, although it was too late, he wanted to wear something different. However, only two others were within easy reach. According to him, one was a great Cleveland International Records cap with an accordion on it, a gift of my late pal Steve Popovich, the company's founder-president, who more than anyone made a proud polka person out of me. But I had worn a Cleveland International t-shirt, also with an accordion on it, to the Cape, and was taking a Polka Hall of Fame t-shirt to LA. Then also, according to him, the other turned out to be a goofy yellow number with a black brim and a black line drawing of two inane faces, little more than circles, with tiny squiggles for eyes and nose, a wide U-shaped grin, and a red embroidered lolling tongue. Underneath, in Hee Haw-like lettering, it said, "The Hager Twins," and it really was the perfect likeness. I had met the Hagers many fanfares ago, when the huge country music fan appreciation event now staged downtown was held at Nashville's dusty fairgrounds. They had an exhibition booth, and you would walk by, and they would be mugging for fan photos, heads tilted and tongues dangling in the manner of the cartoon on the cap. They gave me one then. I was such a huge fan from the Hee Haw days, and whenever I was in town, they would meet me for coffee at Bongo Java, always so appreciative that I remembered them. Even then, they were always on, constantly cutting up, he said. They were wonderful guys, but from a PR standpoint, it was like herding a pair of 2-year-olds when they were at an event. According to him, he was told by the Hager Twins' publicist, Lisa Wysocki, when John Hager passed away on January 9, 2009, less than a year after his brother Jim passed away in May 2008. Their manager also revealed that neither of them had ever met a stranger, so they were all over the room. They also had such huge hearts and gave a lot of their time to help others. Aside from being musicians and comedians, they also appeared on TV shows, performed on stage and in clubs, and were known for their charitable work. Throughout the Hager Twins' careers, they both gave regularly to charity. They even performed for free and participated in various telethons. They were also both passionate fishermen and sportsmen who, late in their careers, began to sponsor an annual muskie hunt up in Wisconsin, with its proceeds going to good causes. A devoted fan wrote, "I had the pleasure of seeing the Hager Twins perform live twice since 2000. Before that, I saw them with Buck Owens on two of his appearances in London in 1969 and 1970. Whether appearing as a supporting act or as headliners, Jim and John Hager were two of the most effective entertainers ever to grace a stage. Equally adept at music or comedy, anyone who ever saw them will concur that they could have received numerous CMA Entertainer of the Year awards. They were that good." If you ever wondered how much the Hager Twins are worth, considering the little fame they had, well, sorry to disappoint you, there isn't actually a specific figure attached to their names. However, just like you guessed, the twins must have been comfortable and well paid from their appearance on Hee Haw. Speaking of Hee Haw, let's dive a little into the popular TV variety show that has still got you hooked. The Hee Haw Show. The popular show Hee Haw is an American television variety show featuring country music and humor with the fictional rural Cornfield County as the backdrop. The show aired from 1969 to 1993, and its series reruns were broadcast on TNN from 1996 to 1997 on RFD-TV from September 2008 to April 2020, after which it aired on Circle. The Hee Haw reruns resumed in May 2024 on the RFD-TV Rural TV network. In 1969, Hee Haw began on CBS and aired over the network until 1971. When CBS axed it as part of their early 1970s rural purge, the show went into first-run syndication, where it aired for the next 22 years. Other people later joined the cast, and they were Minnie Pearl, Barbie Benton, George Lindsay, Ronnie Stoneman, Slim Pickens, Roy Acuff, and Misty Rowe. Some of the most popular sketches and segments on Hee Haw include PFFT, You Was Gone. This was a comedic duet that was featured on the premiere episode. In the first few seasons, the song was performed by Archie Campbell, with Gordy Tapp joining on the chorus. In later seasons, a guest star joined Campbell on the chorus, and the guest star's name was mentioned somewhere in the song's verse before the chorus. On episodes that featured more than one guest star, the sketch was repeated so that all the guest stars had an opportunity to participate. Rarely, a surprise guest star would appear who was not otherwise featured in the episode. The guest star often stood with his back to the camera while holding a pitchfork, while Campbell sang the verse while holding a scythe. At the end of the verse, Campbell would nudge the guest star with his elbow, and the guest star would spin around to the camera to join in the chorus. "Why did you leave me here all alone? I searched the world over and thought I had found true love. You met another, and PFFT, you was gone." In 1981, the Hee Haw Theater opened in Branson, Missouri, and operated through to 1983. It featured live shows using the cast of the television series, as well as guests and other talent. The format was similar to a country variety show type family theme. The show Hee Haw was conceived by fans as a country-flavored laugh-in, a rapid-paced hour of very corny one-liners. However, unlike Laugh-In, in this show, the gags were interspersed by straight country music performances by some of the industry's top stars, including Loretta Lynn, Conway Twitty, and a few others. Many of the Hager Twins' Hee Haw performances can now be found on YouTube. In 2022, Omnivore Records released the Hagers' 3 Capitol albums as a box set. What do you think about the Hager Twins? Were they as awesome as everyone termed them to be? Or were they just another overhyped duo? Share with us in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.